Alright, a nice picture to look at while I talk. Um, what did I want to talk about? Corrupt YouTube channels or corrupt truth channels on YouTube. Um, this stems from a couple of videos that I've just seen recently, and it just got me thinking. And I thought, you know what? I'll stick my 2 cents in, and I'll have a little chat um, about this kind of problem. I reckon it's a problem anyway. And what you'll see, and this happens with loads of channels on YouTube, is you'll see a channel and they start off. I mean, it's just like life, right? They start off sweet and innocent, and then as they go through life, they grow, and as they grow, they usually become corrupted. And I'm not saying this is the rule for every single channel out there, but it kind of, it kind of follows this cycle, just as everything else follows the cycle. So, it occurs to me that, you might watch a truth channel and they push a certain agenda. Yeah, maybe, I'm thinking of several certain channels here without naming names, but you might have a channel that just pushes the idea that, let's, for example, you're looking at truth codes, and the channel is pushing the idea that all these truth codes are basically done by secret societies. Okay, everything, all these rituals in the world, all the news stories that we see in the world are all controlled and manipulated by secret societies, and that's the end of it, right? And when you see a channel like that, I'm thinking of a specific channel here, but when you see channels doing that kind of thing, when they push a certain agenda or a certain idea constantly, okay, and don't get me wrong, I think there is, um, you know, dark forces at play here. I do think there are a number of secret societies that have their little agendas. Um, but I don't think they're quite as. I mean, they are powerful, but I don't think they're actually quite as powerful as they make themselves. They make people believe they are. But I got thinking about this, and you know, why would I mean, why do people go down that route of um, setting their own agenda, if you like? And is it their own agenda? Because when you have a channel, right, and it starts off all sweet and innocent, and then it kind of starts to grow, yeah. I think what we'll find is that there is both there's a lot of ego stuff going on here, and the ego again is hugely related to the actual matrix. The matrix, the world in which we live in around us, our man-made world, is basically an extension of our own egos, just combined. So we have this problem, right? You start a channel and you start getting some traction, and what you notice is maybe you've monetized, and maybe you start making some money on a certain video. Obviously that video is going to have more views and maybe more people commenting on it, and you're maybe going to have more, you're just all around going to have more focus on that video. What does that do? Well, subconsciously at least, subconsciously that is going to give you, start over again, subconsciously that is going to give you, an idea inside your head of, I need to repeat what I'm doing here. I'm doing something right. I'm getting credit for what I'm doing here. I'm making money maybe for what I'm doing here. Maybe that's what you want to do on your channel, but it comes at a cost, because all it takes, whichever way you look at it, all it takes is for either the algorithm to pick out a video that follows an agenda that may be not truthful, so, or follow an agenda that is beneficial to the system, to the matrix. So, and that is actually easily done, because there is a simple that we'll get onto it in just a second, but there is something very simple about what the system wants to do. Okay, and we'll get onto that in just 1 minute. But the idea is that, you know, if you can be manipulated by the number of views you're getting, you know, if you are, you know, if you become you know, it gives you that sense of happiness. Yeah, it's building the ego again. Okay, it's building your own individual ego. This idea that, wow, now I'm successful. Now I'm getting some views here, and I'm making some money. And it's repeat that process. Repeat that particular message that I'm putting out in that video to some degree or another. You know, and it's not that difficult. And I think it's a very much a, even if it's not an algorithmic thing in the computer itself or the system itself, in that sense, it's a conscious algorithm, if you like. It's the consciousness of the matrix pushing that agenda, and it'll actually be pushed by the people viewing the video quite well as well, because there is a safety there is a safety in being inside a box. Okay, and what a lot of the time, you'll hear a lot of channels that get really big really quick. They'll go on the blame game. Okay, they will start in on the, you know, this is the reason why we've got so many problems. It's these people over here, and it's those people over there doing it to us. And what you end up with is you end up building other people's egos as well. Yeah, so people will naturally migrate to a place, where a box where they feel safe. You know, when somebody gets in that box, now I've got somebody to blame. Okay, now it's not my fault anymore. It's those people over there. It's those elitists that are doing it. You know, and oh no, it's Big Pharma that's doing it. Oh no, it's whatever politician that is doing it. Yeah, there's somebody to blame. There's always somebody that you can blame, which makes you feel better about yourself, because it's not your fault. Yeah, and this is probably the biggest thing that people don't want to hear. This is going to get this video, this is this is going to ruin this video right now, what I'm about to say. But the problem is, you are the problem. I am the problem. We are all the problem. Yeah, if you're not willing to step up, yeah, and fix yourself first, then we're still going to have the problem. Yeah, and at that point, you deserve what you get at that point. You know, so it's one of those things where this is good, because this, clicking back on this, I can see how many minutes I've been talking without having to go back and check the actual recorder. But anyway, so this is what people don't want to hear. You know, if I had a channel that was any good, I wouldn't, because the real problem in the world is individual people. You know, and that's the thing that I would probably harp on about quite a bit. But unfortunately, people don't want to hear. They don't want to get on a channel and listen to somebody say, "You are the problem. You are the problem. Until you fix what you're doing, the rest of the world will not come into alignment." You know, and there is this, I think it's a false idea that I don't have any impact on the world. You know, I can't change the whole world. My question is, do you really want to change the whole world? Yeah, that's the question I ask myself. Do I really want to change the whole world, or do I just want to change what's in my life here? This is really what affects me, what's in my life. You know, so what if they make a new rule or regulation up over here in Parliament or whatever? Who the hell cares? Because I know who I am, because I understand how laws work. Okay, I'm not worried about what those people do over there. Now, yes, somebody could come knocking at the door and drag me off, but again, understanding the nature of the universe, understanding that there is something higher out there, that there is a God, so to speak, understanding all of that stuff, that level of faith that you get from that, and the level of understanding of, you know, how this world is put together in order to show us the rules, yeah, in order to make the rules set in stone, yeah. Once you've gained that empowerment of knowing who you are and who in the world has jurisdiction over you, it's quite powerful. Okay, I'm not really worried. I mean, I have to say this: I'm not really worried about anything, to tell you the truth. Um, it's one of those weird things. Maybe several years ago, like when I first got into like looking into law and stuff, and I was like, oh, I'd really like to deal with these buttholes, you know, that run the legal system. But I'm afraid, you know, I'm kind of worried. I don't want to screw up and like lose my house or something, or you know, any of these kind of ideas here. You know, like, you know, I didn't want to have any kind of negative impact, right? And so um, it took a long time to get confident enough and to learn enough about law and to learn enough about natural law, in particular, to really to have enough faith to say, you know, I do know what I'm doing now, and I do know how to talk to somebody, um, you know, that's within that system and do it confidently. Uh, Super empowering. I actually, you know, I mean, again, you know, really, you know, you see some of these, you know, even, I mean, I've got a Homesteader channel that I used to watch quite a bit, and that guy has gone over to basically regurgitating news stories, fear news stories, and again, it's putting people in a box. You know, they can all get together and say, "Oh, look what they're doing now." And instead of actually, and this is a channel that was actually kind of teaching some of these methods for coming out of the system, and it's completely switched. You know, it's just about that stuff now, and instead of having a message, um, you know, instead of having a message with, you know, how do you come out of the system? What do you need to change in your life to come out of the system? Um, that message kind of has been lost now, and now it's more about, oh, they're doing this. You better be careful because this is going to happen and that's going to happen. And you know, I go on about you know, I know I go on about the Hoover Dam and the ritual that I think is going to happen in the future here with that the um, the destruction of the Hoover Dam. But what I try to emphasize when I'm going on about that, because you know, on the surface that looks like a completely negative thing to happen, right? Um, but I try to go into what the meaning of it is, you know, to show people, look, if that were to happen, this is what it means. You know, this is the idea of coming out of the matrix. This is the idea of regaining our freedom. Yeah. Um, and what does it mean? You know, what does it mean for me um, to try and get out of the matrix? You know, an example. Um, I need a new steering. I've got an old tractor sitting out there, and it desperately needs a new steering wheel. The old steering wheel, like half of it has crumbled away, and I'm left with the metal frame that was underneath the sort of, well, it's not really plastic, some kind of composite material anyway, you know. And half of that's fell off, and I could do with a new steering wheel for it, you know. And a new steering wheel was only like $50 or whatever. I could get one on Amazon, you know. Do I go and buy that steering wheel on Amazon, knowing that some poor sod in India or China or somewhere else has had to has been unfairly, probably unfairly compensated for their time making that thing. Do I go and do that? Do I go and buy from Amazon knowing that they're a bunch of crooks? See, I've got a choice. I can take the easy option, which is go buy a new steering wheel, or I can take the hard option, which is I can go and find some material sitting outside that I've probably got laying around, and I can kind of fudge the thing back together, and maybe a bit of electrical tape or something, and I can fudge that thing back together and put up with it being, a dilapidated steering wheel. What do I do? I know what I'd like to do. I'd like to just buy a new steering wheel and plonk it on there. But what I'll end up doing, to do what I feel is the right thing, is I will repair that old steering wheel. Okay? That's what I'm going to end up doing. It's going to take me longer, and probably the finished job won't be as nice, but it's the right thing to do. Yeah? And that's the choice that everybody has in life. You can do the right thing, or you can do it the hard way or the easy way. Yeah? And usually the hard way is coming out of the matrix. Yeah? The easy way is just, using the matrix. So, I don't know even where I'm going with this video now, but you can see that, I don't even know where I'm going, with it, but, we've gone from, potentially channels becoming corrupted, and getting into our own little box, of comfort and enjoyment. It's basically the matrix feeding us. We're making some money as long as we say the right thing. And the right thing, when you monetize or whatever else, you've got to be super careful, because the right thing that because this is running in the matrix, the right thing that the matrix wants you to say is really the wrong thing. Okay? The thing that the matrix wants you to push is the matrix agenda, and that is keeping everybody in a box of some description. Because when somebody's in a box, they don't explore themselves. Okay? They pass the blame off to somebody else. They don't explore what they're doing in their life, just the little things that can improve the world. I think that's probably where I'm going to leave it for the video. We can all do little things, as I said, with the steering wheel. As I said, if you've watched some of my old videos, like I'm off grid. We've just this last year, we've got grid power back to the land. It comes right outside the door here, and if occasionally in the heat of summer, we break down and we'll run extension cord up and run a couple of extension cords and run some air conditioners. But can I do without it? Yes. If the power was shut off tomorrow, I'd probably be alright. I've got enough solar power to be comfortable. But even that is reliant on the system. Even though I'm off grid, I'm not now reliant on a power company. I've got rid of that reliance, but now I'm reliant on the components of my solar system to power the house. So I'm still reliant on the matrix for that technology. So it's a bit of a vicious circle. Where do you draw the line at, like, where do you draw the line at, how you're going to cut your dependence on the system? It's an interesting one. The system didn't manifest overnight. It took a long time for the matrix to build up to this state. So it's going to take a little while for us to get back out of it. Okay? And again, to mention something in an old video is maybe the best way for most of us is some form of cold turkey, because that's how you get an addict off of what they're addicted to, And that's the best way to get an addict off what they're addicted to, is simply cold turkey, is simply to get rid of that thing so you don't have that temptation there. The apocalypse, okay. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that one. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm going to do another couple of videos here just talking, so sorry I didn't reset that. Oh well. Anyway, thanks to G Corb for the free video there. Go check that channel out if you want some free stuff, I guess. I don't know. Thank you very much. All right. Ciao for now. All right, bye.